I'd like to open up this meeting of the joint meeting of the City Council and School Committee. Today is December 10th, 2025. It is a little bit past 6:30 p.m. and I'm here assembled in the chambers, and for members assembled, I see from the school committee, Mr. Willahen is here, and I see Mrs. Williams is with us. I already mentioned Mr. Collmore will not be able to join us. From the City Council, I see for members, Councilor Greaney is here. Our City Council President, Tessa Murphy-Ramboletti, is online. And then yours truly, Kevin Jourdain, is here. So we have 5 out of the 6 members of the committee present. In the chambers, just a couple other honored guests that we have. From the school committee, I see from Ward 4, Mr. Isaza is with us. And from the City Council from Ward 2, Councilor Ocasio is with us. Online, I see Councilor Devine is with us. I see Councilor Israel Rivera is with us. And I think that is all of our elected officials to date. All right. First thing up is I'd like to make a motion to take a roll call vote that for the purposes of this meeting would be applicable to all motions to receive, to refer items to committee, to remove items from the table, place items on the table, package items together, comply with items, or suspend the rules unless there is an objection.
I second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none. We're going to take roll call votes for all of our votes tonight since we have a partial remote and partial presence. So, Mr. Willahen?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Greaney?
Yes.
Ms. Murphy-Ramboletti?
Yes.
And Mr. Jourdain votes yes. So it's unanimous. That has passed. We now go to the agenda. The first item up on the agenda is our minutes of August 14th, 2025. Is there a motion to take this off the table and to approve them?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion of the minutes? Any edits anyone would like to make?
I just want to.
Mr. Willahen.
I just want to thank Jeffrey for writing them up.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, then the motion on the floor is to receive and approve. Mr. Willahen, yes or no?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Greaney?
Yes.
Ms. Murphy-Ramboletti?
Yes.
And Mr. Jourdain votes yes. Unanimous. All right. Moving right along.
Motion to take number 2 off the table.
Okay. Motion's been made and
Second.
seconded to take item 2 off the table. I'll read that. Item number 2 is an order from Councilor Bartley that the city consider the installation of flashing crosswalk signals at the 2 crosswalks approximate to Metcalf School. Refer to the mayor, the DPW, the city engineer, the receiver, and the joint committee. The item was also received and referred to the ordinance committee with a copy to the mayor, DPW, city engineer, receiver, and the joint committee. All in favor of taking this item off the table?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. So I have one communication here from Councilor Bartley, who said he could not be with us. He sent a letter. I'll read that. Kevin, due to a previous conflict, I will not be attending the meeting, so I'm offering some comments here. Thank you for taking up the order listed as item 2 on the agenda. I filed this order when Metcalf was used by the little ones. At this time, Metcalf is used for adults who seek to complete high school. I'm not 100% sure, consequently, that flashing beacons and the resulting expense are needed. Of course, if there is money to so install, then fine. At the same time, we offered the receiver offered to the receiver the fact that there wasn't even a crossing guard. The school staff had to serve in that dual role because no crossing guards were ever assigned. Can you believe that? What I will do is forward the order to the head of the Opportunity Academy to solicit an opinion. I will CC you on that email. And as I recall, there was a follow-up to that, and I believe the head of the Opportunity Academy was also supportive of putting them up. So with that having been said, I don't know if there's anybody from the school department or otherwise, or a member that would like to give an opinion relative to Metcalf as it's currently constituted, if this is still needed. Anybody have an opinion?
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
I see Anthony Soto is with us, and Mr. Greaney, yes, Counselor Greaney.
I just, apparently we need to wait and get the information from the powers that be regarding this issue. So I don't know if you want to leave it on the table or what you want to do with it, but whatever you want to do is whatever we can do with it is fine. But it seems like we don't have the information we need.
Well, let's see. That could be true. Mr. Soto, do you have an opinion on this topic about is it still needed there? Do you think having the, what's your thoughts?
We have a crosswalk there. We don't have a raised crosswalk there or the lights. I do think that, I don't want to single out Metcalf. I think that anywhere we have a school, we should have, adequate signage. And I've seen other communities where they install those blinking, kind of crosswalk signs in there. That would be great. In some of our schools we have, the city has done a good job at implementing those raised crosswalks, which controls speeding. We didn't have a crossing guard at Metcalf when it was an elementary school, primarily because the majority of the students were either riding buses or parent drop-off. So we didn't have a ton of walkers when it was an elementary school. So, that's my opinion on the matter. I think that, wherever we have a school, especially elementary school with traffic like on Main Street and on Northampton Street, I do think that we should take a close look at the infrastructure there and make sure that we have adequate, safe signage and wherever possible, newer technology that I know exists out there.
So overall, you would say, yes, it's a good idea to put the additional signage there. And would you feel comfortable with the committee making a recommendation? Because this has been here, a little bit of time. And let's see, a year and a month to be exact. To basically say we are supportive of the additional signage, it should go up, and the city, at this point, we give it to the powers that be, give it to the mayor, the DPW, and the other people charged to manage something like this. Does that seem reasonable?
I would support that.
Okay, thank you. Jeffrey, I see your hand is up. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, actually, I have some relevant information. So I was working with the city engineer and DPW to get some feedback on some orders that public safety is looking to take up next Monday. And one of the comments on one of the orders actually is completely relevant to this. RRFBs, those rectangular rapid flashing beacons, one of the comments says that they're scheduled for installation at the intersections of Northampton and Myrtle and Northampton and Washington. It doesn't say a date, but it looks like they are scheduled for those intersections.
Oh, beautiful. So it looks like it's in the works. Okay, beautiful. Let me just make a note of that for the committee report. Okay, great. I see Mike Gallagher is here from the DPW. Mike, I don't know if you wanted to be recognized or say anything, but it sounds like it's on the list to have these beacons put in at some point.
Yes, Sir Germain. So beacons are on order, and sometime in the spring is where we expect to receive those beacons. And after we see them, the plan can be to install.
All right, you were breaking up there, Mike, just so you know, but it sounds like it's in the works. All
Yes,
right.
been ordered and be in the spring.
Okay, great. Thank you. Committee members, anything else we want to talk about this item? I think I personally would recommend that we put it out as complied with. It's been considered with a recommendation that, and it looks like it's in the works, that these beacons and additional signage and signaling are going to happen pretty soon at the two relevant corners. What do you think, Ms. Williams? You think that makes sense?
Yes, sir. I'm very excited about it. We were worried about this for quite a while, and I'm happy to see that things are being done to take care of this situation, because it was very dangerous, serious situation. And then I know if my children was in school, I'd be on it. So thank you guys very, very much.
Yes, agree. All three of my kids went through Metcalf pre-K. It's a great school. Okay, very good. So a motion is on the floor that the order's been complied with, and that we report out to the full city council that based upon our understanding is this is in the works to be completed, and it's our recommendation that it be done. Is there a second to that?
I second that.
Okay, seconded. And if there's no further discussion, we'll take a vote on that. Mr. Willihan?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Greaney?
Yes,
Okay, Ms. Murphy-Ramboletti?
Yes.
Mr. Jourdain votes yes. It's unanimous. All set on item 2. Okay, is there a motion to take up item 3 off the table? Okay, motion's been made and seconded to take item 3 off the table. Item number 3, let me just read this here, just a moment. Item number 3 was tabled from our August 14th, 2025 meeting. It's a communication from Christina Schilling. It's an email regarding speeding in school zones. And we did discuss this item previously. Let me see if I can do the Reader's Digest summary. On May 17th, 2025, Christina wrote to a number of elected officials, including myself, Tessa, Izzy, Mike Sullivan. She lives on West Franklin Street. Her son attends Kelly School. She's very concerned about dangerous speeding of cars at school drop-off and pickup. She reminded us that a student was struck last year. She's forwarding a copy of an email that she sent to the mayor and the superintendent in light of the incident. She's concerned that past statements from the school department, essentially saying that the Holyoke Police Department was taking additional steps to support pedestrian safety during school hours. Police cars will be stationed in the proximity to the following schools with blue lights turned on to encourage driver vigilance. This was Donahue, Ian White, Kelly, Lawrence, McMahon, Metcalf, Morgan, the Holyoke Dean campus, Holyoke North campus, and the Transitions Academy. She stated that she believed there had never been a cruiser at Kelly during the drop-off and pickup. She goes, I pass Lawrence regularly on the way to drop off my son, and there's never been a cruiser there. I can't speak for other schools. Do we have any insight whether or not this initiative can be revisited? And I believe, if I recall correctly, and I'll let Mr. Soto, and we're also lucky to have Mr. Sotoloto, who's one of our lieutenants from the Holyoke Police Department, with us to represent the Holyoke Police Department. If they would like to weigh in, but as I recall the last time, this was designed originally, this memo, for the beginning of the school year to kind of set a tone of safety. I don't think it was designed that there would be police every single day at every single drop off and pickup of students all school year, all 180 days of the school year. So I believe that was the discussion that last we spoke. And in terms of where are we at now, I'd like to hear, if we could, from Mr. Soto and from the HPD would be nice, from their perspective of how is it going? How are school drop-offs and pickups going? Have there been lots of complaints about child safety at these times? Do you feel we have adequate protection and supervision? Are you seeing lots of speeding? That kind of thing. If you could give us your update on this, we would appreciate it. Start with Mr. Soto, please.
Yeah, so we haven't had a lot of complaints. We've definitely been, and I've definitely been in conversations with the chief. Whenever we get concerns, we usually forward them over to the chief, and he tries to get, if cruisers are available during arrival or dismissal, they try to be in the area. I do recognize that there may be some staffing challenges or calls that would pull cruisers' ability to be able to do that. But I do want to say the police department has been really good about being responsive to our needs. I can't necessarily say that, we're not out there necessarily monitoring who's speeding or not, but whenever we do receive a complaint, we try to pass that along. And we do our part at arrival and dismissal in terms of making sure that we have enough staff on duty, helping support traffic flow and getting parents in the right, in the parent line, making sure that buses can get through, making sure that kids are safe walking into the school. But outside of the school perimeter, I think that's sometimes challenging because we don't necessarily staff that. We make sure that our parking lots and right in front of the building and where parents are coming in, we make sure we have coverage there. But if down the street somebody's speeding, it's tough for us to do anything. But whenever it is reported, I've been communicating that to the police chief, and he's been really responsive.
Great. HPD, any thoughts, Lieutenant? Just turn on the microphone, or you're welcome to come sit at one of the desks and just turn the, yeah, please.
Thank you. And I apologize, Chief Keenan had a previous engagement tonight, so he sent me on his behalf.
No problem.
Mr. Soto, thank you for the comments about speeding and all that, and I apologize, I don't think we've met in person yet. I'll echo most of what he said, that when we receive complaints about speeders in the school zones, we try to address that as soon as we possibly can. The blue light initiative, like you said, was sort of a beginning of the school year thing. Mm-hmm. Certainly I wish that we had the personnel to be able to do that every single day, but to have a policeman at each school like that every day is more than the people I have on duty. So unfortunately, it kind of has to be addressed on a case-by-case basis. But from sort of a broad view, we haven't received, I wouldn't say, any out of the ordinary amount of speeding complaints around schools this year so far. I know we have Lieutenant Leahy, who runs our school unit, and he's dialed into a lot of that stuff and addresses it as it comes up. The implementation of some of the crossing protection devices and all that, I know on Homestead Avenue we now have flashing beacons, and a few other schools have some different pedestrian protection devices. Helps out with the speeding as well.
Okay. So no complaints, and you're not aware of any incidents, say this school year, relative to around the schools that you're aware of? That
I'm not aware of any specific incidents,
Okay.
and I would say the complaints about speeding is about average of what it usually is.
Okay. Great. Committee members or anybody else? Any questions of the police? Ms. Williams?
There has not been any accidents known of, no?
Not any accidents this school year?
I would say no accidents out of the ordinary.
Okay, that's good news.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Mr. Willoughby?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I kind of pass a school zone on my way to work every morning in Granby, and I know at the start of the year, they'll put the cruisers on that route in front of the high school and the secondary school, just to remind everyone that there's a flashing light there and to slow down. But again, to have the cruisers there, you know, constantly parked at every school, you know, 5 days a week, that's just not reasonable.
Right.
And again, you know, people are speeding, you know, they're drunk driving, they're looking at their phones, they don't care if they're on the Mass Pike, they don't care if they're next to a school zone, you know, so it just comes down to just, you know, policing the city at whole. Thank you.
Mr. Soto?
Yeah, I just wanted to provide some context as to why at the beginning of the school year it's a little more important, or there may be a little more traffic. You know, our experience has been that the first week of school, a lot of families like to bring their kids to school, even though they're bus riders. So we definitely see a lot more parent drop-off than the normal school year in the first couple of weeks until, you know, new families get comfortable with bus stops and or with their children getting on the bus, or, you know, first day of school, first week of school. Sometimes as a parent, you just want to bring your kid to school, and we see a lot of that, which makes it a little more congested the first week and a half, 2 weeks of school, which is why it's super helpful to do that at the beginning of the school year. And bus drivers are getting used to their routes. New parents are getting used to, like, what is the parent line versus the bus line and stuff like that. So there's a little more confusion around the first couple of weeks of school, which is why you need that heightened presence. But once schools get their arrival and dismissal procedures pretty solid, and parents are used to the traffic flow, things seem to get better.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Greaney?
Yeah, just quickly, is there any update from Ms. Schilling? Has she witnessed any speeding at all lately? Do we have an update from her at all? Because this is dated back in 2025, you know?
Yeah.
Just wonder if she has any updates at all.
Yeah, no,
Any
we
emails
haven't.
or anything from her?
No additional emails since that time.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I would recommend that this item's been complied with. Would you second that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'll take a roll call vote that this item has been complied with. Mr. Willoughby?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Greaney?
Yes.
Ms. Murphy-Ramboletti?
Yes.
And Mr. Jordan votes yes. So item 3 is complied with. Item number 4, is there a motion to take that off the table? Okay, is there a second?
Second that.
All right.
Second.
Thank you. Item number 4 is an order introduced by Councilor Izzy Rivera, and adding on, Councilor Greaney was added as a co-sponsor. Item number 4, that the special education department within the school department be invited to a joint meeting of the school committee and city council to provide an update on measures taken to mitigate turnover of specialized special education staff. Families have raised concerns regarding the constant turnover and its impact on children receiving special education services. And I see that the original maker of the order is here. So I'd like to recognize Councilor Rivera if he would like to tee up the issue at all. And then I don't know if Mr. Greaney wants to say anything, and then we'll turn it over to Mr. Soto's here. And I also see Mrs. Courier is here with us too. So Counselor
Yes.
Rivera, would you like to say anything for openers?
Yes, I'm here, and thank you. First, I want to say thank you for taking this item up, and thank you to those that are here to kind of help unpack all this stuff. Sorry for the background noises. I have the kids here. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll walk to another room, baby. So, the order or the intention of the order is to pretty much highlight or try to bring some light to what mechanisms we're technically trying to put in place to try to mitigate situations around turnover with regards not only to teachers, that's one particular situation, but another one specifically around special education, around the staffing. I know from my own particular situation, there's been a different, we've been dealing with different staff members throughout the processes, and I know that a lot of other parents have kind of shared that information with me too as well, with regards to consistency in dealing with different staff members that have been dealing with their children at the school. And when I say different staff members, I'm saying specific specialized staff members that are either dealing with OT or speech pathology, things like that, of that nature. So for me, it's trying to highlight that and understand that, mostly being that the district has a high percentage of students with an IEP. And for me specifically, in some of the schools in the lower wards, they probably have an even higher percentage. And it's not to say that we're doing that intentionally, it's just the way that things work out because of programming. Totally understand that, but it's just trying to figure out what are the best things that we've done or what we've put forth to try to mitigate the issues and plan for the future to try to combat this, what feels like a losing battle, because I know it's not just Holyoke dealing with this. And thank you again.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Mr. Greaney?
Yeah, just quickly, this can be very troubling, you know, especially to special ed students, especially autistic kids, you know, that have, the consistency is very valuable in their educational profile, that they maintain some consistency. So it's a very important issue. And on a secondary issue, just to pick Superintendent Soto's brain, how's the educational funding coming from the state for special ed? Thank you.
All right, so I think it would be good, Mr. Soto or Mrs. Courier, either one of you like to tackle this first, Mr. Soto?
Yeah, I do have Mary Ann Courier here, who is our Chief of Pupil Services and leads our special education department, but I could, you know, provide a brief overview. Counselor Rivera and Greaney are accurate. I would say that the majority of our vacancies are in special education, and you know, my colleagues across the state, you know, whenever I'm in circles with other superintendents and they're talking about staffing challenges, it's usually in their special education department. We put a teacher retention work group together a couple of years ago and have been working through some of those strategies. One of the strategies that we implemented last year was a change in schedule, which was a significant reduction in the amount of hours that teachers were working. And, you know, this year we have one of our two focus areas is around staff and student well-being and a sense of belonging. And that, you know, that involves a bunch of different benchmarks and strategies that we have in place. Schools are doing things at their own school. They you know, we're asking them to put together, or we've asked them to put together belonging plans both for students and staff, and it's garnered a lot of like joy and just trying to give a sense of belonging to staff and keep people happy. Those are some of the small things, but I do know that, you know, for some of the positions that have been much harder to fill, we increased, we had a stipend that we added to, you know, because these positions are all part of the HTA collective bargaining agreement. We added pretty significant stipends on top of where they sit on the scale to hopefully, you know, attract more teachers, or when we are, you know, in the middle of negotiating or trying to get a teacher and they got another offer on the table with another district, you know, those stipends really do help. What's been challenging over the last 4 or 5 years is that a lot of communities have had this ESSER money, that they got post-COVID, and with that ESSER money, many of them have chosen to, be really aggressive with recruiting and hiring. Mr. Wellahan can tell you that a lot of communities that lost that money have had significant layoffs because of that. But and then another strategy that we've employed a lot is when it's just impossible to find a position. We've been recruiting all year, or for the first couple of months of the year. Mary Ann has done a really good job, staying connected with service providers that will, you can purchase staff members for them while you're still looking and recruiting for those teacher positions. They have staff members that can fill those roles for us, and we contract for those services. Those are some of the things, Mary Ann. I didn't want to steal your thunder. I'll kick it over to you, and you can add what you want to add.
Just
I'm happy
quickly,
to. I
one
do
more
see
thing, please.
Councilor Rivera's hand up.
Just one more quick thing.
Yeah, Councilor Greaney.
Just quickly, as far as the stipends are concerned, it's not only the teachers, of course, but the aides and the paraprofessionals are also very important in this type of education. So I'm hoping that, that the recruiting attempts and everything are going to try to seek more help in these areas too. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Rivera?
Mary Ann can go. I'll ask my question after. Maybe she answers it.
Okay, Mary Ann?
All right, I'll do my best, but if not, please ask away.
No
Councilor
worries. Of
Rivera.
course.
So thank you all first for having me and for bringing this issue to the Joint Committee, because it's something that we certainly have been dealing with and trying to tackle for a bit now. Superintendent Soto did touch on a couple things that I was going to speak to. Some of the work we're doing to try to maintain the staff that we have, which again for some of those specialized positions are position stipends, and those exist right now for our school psychologists, our speech and language pathologists, and our special education team leaders. What Superintendent Soto brought up was the work that we do with our vendors. So we have partners with a number of different vendor agencies, several of which that we've had for a very long time. Stepping Stones, which used to be Futures Health Corps. We have had vendor staff from them for over 20 years. So when we are unable to fill those positions, we do reach out to our vendor partners to get staff in place so that we do not have a disruption in service. And luckily, we've established such good relationships with some of these vendors that we've been able to have some of the same staff over the last several years. So we're getting a little bit of consistency by being able to hire some of the same staff. Ideally, we would want to hire our own Holyoke Public School staff, but while we are working at recruiting staff, it does help to have these partnerships with these vendors. So that definitely helps. Some other things, so some of the vacancies that we see, especially in our teaching positions, some of that comes from licensure. We do have a large number of our special education teachers that are on waivers. And some of the work that we have been pursuing over the last couple of years is on building up our partnerships and supporting our teachers so that they can get their initial license and not be on waivers. We have current partnerships with Teach Western Mass and Mount Holyoke College. We've got 6 participants in Teach Western Mass and 5 at Mount Holyoke. Right now, the future of the Teach Western Mass partnership is a little unclear, but knowing that we are building up new partnerships, we have a new partnership that's starting in January with American International College, who will be able to work with candidates on their moderate disabilities license. And we have additional partnerships that are under development right now with Elms, Bay Path, and Westfield State University. And by being able to offer these at very low cost to our teachers, our hope is that we will first be able to get them fully licensed in these positions, and by providing the support, we'll keep those teachers in our district. We just to note, we do currently have 63 waivered special education staff in the district. So we are working hard at getting folks off waivers and fully into initial licenses. Councilor Greaney, I'm glad you brought up paraeducators because they are so valuable to the work that we do in education as a whole, but especially special education. Last year, we began a pilot in our schools to provide greater assistance to onboarding paraeducators and professional development for paraeducators. So we have created a district-wide paraeducator lead, along with building paraeducator leads for every school. Some of our schools that have larger populations of paraeducators have multiple building leads in the building, and their roles are to, again, help with onboarding, being able to help with professional learning. We invested in learning modules to provide targeted professional development for our paraeducators on topics that are of interest to them and are aligned with their positions. So we're really building up that capacity in our buildings for our paraeducators, along with having paraeducator pipelines with some of our university partners to work with them to lead towards initial teacher license. We have a large number of paraeducators that have been able to step in into substitute teaching positions and have really flourished. So we want to be able to support our paraeducators that are interested in going down the pathway for their teacher license to be able to do so. So that is work that we're doing as well to support our paraeducators.
Great.
I'm going to pause there for a moment and see if I
right.
answered Councilor Rivera's question.
So if I may, through the chair.
Sure.
So you touched on a lot of topics and answered a lot of the questions that I kind of would have asked, but there are just two ones that for me, one came up while you were explaining and elaborating, right? And with regards to the process or the steps of kind of trying to keep people within the system and not leave or whatnot, is there or could there be a pathway for counselors to continue the education to get moved up to the level to be a speech pathologist or to be within those positions that are empty, to help us fill those positions? Because that kind of seems like it would be an easier fix, right? Not to say that what has been going on isn't good work, because it is, but it's just possibly a suggestion of mine. But I think the main piece of what I'm kind of feeling like, and this is something I thought about a while, not too long ago, and having conversations with different people, is the district and most education, their specialty is education. Our specialty, and I wouldn't say any school district, their specialty is not necessarily mental health or mental health services. And we're not going to say that we don't want to provide those services and that we're not going to do it to the best of our abilities, but that is not the strength of any school district. The strength, for the most part, is education. So with that being said, and this is more possibly for the school committee as they have more autonomy move forward, right? And for anyone on the leadership team, is there any options being explored with just contracting all of that out in general without having to stress having to fill in the spaces or the positions for someone of a speech pathologist or a BCBA? If you're partnering with a particular agency, because you guys have partnerships already or have had them in the past, but literally exploring or seeing if there's other districts or somewhere else in the country that has created an initiative where they literally kind of partner with an entity that already has all the staff that is needed, right? So the idea is, same way we do our contracting with Suez, It would be something similar to that and expecting them to provide the services to the best of the, I mean, it's up to them now because you don't have that bandwidth in a sense, right? We're struggling to always hire. We're struggling to keep the people because when you're competing with the private industry, or not necessarily private, still nonprofit, but when you're competing with that industry, they're paying way more than we can pay in the district. So there's also health insurance. There's a lot of different things and mechanisms. I kind of wanted to put that out there and see if that's something that's feasible or even a study that can be done just to see where we can kind of like explore some of that. Because I have to say that I'm not going to say that I don't believe that education can get to a point where they're mastering mental health, but that's not their focus, right? The focus is to teach children. But now we're teaching children and having to deal with various different mental health situations or disabilities that not every teacher is trained with. Even if you provide them professional development and all the other stuff, it takes time and experience for them to be able to learn and know how to navigate some of these systems with the students that they're dealing with. So for me, it's just trying to think outside the box to see how we can try to provide the services. But I'm willing to hear some ideas from you guys, if anything. And thank you again for your time.
Okay, very good. Mrs. Williams, you're next.
Hi, Marianne. It's nice seeing you tonight. You answered most of the questions that I would have asked. You said that there's 63 staff members with waivers. Are you giving them a time limit to have their license? I mean, is there a time limit, like when they need to have the license, or it doesn't matter?
Yep. So initial waivers, so a staff member could be on a waiver, typically it can be upwards of 3 to 5 years. When a staff member is granted a waiver, they do have to show that they're making progress towards meeting their licensure goal. So we work with staff around different trainings, different programming, so that they can show that they're making progress. One of the more challenging aspects of the licensure for some of our staff is passing the MTELs. We do have partnerships with a couple of colleges and universities that were able to pair our teachers up to take MTEL prep courses to prepare them to be able to take and pass the MTEL. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I could certainly get them from Human Resources, but a large number of the staff that are currently on waivers are working towards being able to take and pass their MTELs. Another aspect of the waivers is to show that you meet competency in specific areas towards the license. So we have created competency modules for our teachers to be able to take advantage of, to take, and again, that will also show that they are working towards completing the requirements for a waiver. So we have some staff that have been on waivers for a number of years, but continue to show that they're making progress. So they're able to get their waivers renewed. Some teachers that we have lost, is what we're talking about turnover, are teachers that, after several years have not been able to meet the licensure requirements and are not eligible for a waiver. And some of those teachers have moved on because they're just not able to get licensed.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Murphy-Ramboletti.
Thank you, and thank you, Marianne and Anthony, for helping us understand this. I don't have kids, and so I rely on the experiences of, friends and honestly strangers, constituents who have kids in the schools. And I just wonder, what do you feel like the impact is as far as it relates to like classroom curricula and like this sort of turnover and shortage? I mean, I would assume it must impact quality of attention that kids who have special needs, and perhaps in one classroom there might be folks with many different levels of need. Do you feel like that is like something that can, like, is that, I think parents worry that that's like falling through the cracks, or like that, you know, it impacts what they should be learning. Do you feel like that is something that gets impacted, and how does that get addressed when you just simply don't have, if you don't have enough people for one classroom, or for, you know, to address everyone's different level of need? Is that, maybe that's not an issue, but I'm just curious what your insights are.
So it is an issue in some regard. I give a lot of credit and kudos to our building principals who have a really tough job, but have learned to really be able to pivot in their schools and look at their overall staffing to ensure that that there is staffing in you know, in the highest need positions. I think where we see the greatest need is when we do have that turnover and we lose teachers. We're able to bring new teachers on board, but many times they are teachers that are brand new to teaching. So they do need a lot more support than a teacher that has, you know, been teaching for, you know, 5 to 10 years. So that's where we have to really concentrate a lot of our efforts around coaching. We are fortunate that we have 2 dedicated special education coaches in the district, in addition to the ELA and math coaches that are in every school. So we deploy the coaches, the special education coaches, to work with the brand new teachers or brand new to teaching teachers, to be able to support them with learning new curriculum, with curriculum implementation, with, you know, understanding IEPs. So there is a definite need there, especially when we lose some of our seasoned educators and then are replacing them with brand new teachers. So that definitely, we feel that especially at the teacher level.
And I'll add that, you know, in addition to all the direct services that our special education teachers are providing, a huge focus of ours for this year is around inclusive practices. So, you know, we strongly believe that, you know, it isn't solely the special education teachers and solely the special education direct service providers' responsibility to educate some of our special education students. It's kind of an all hands on deck. And one thing that we've been focused on this year is around inclusive practices. So what are those tools that our gen ed teachers and skills, what are those tools and skills that we can develop in them so that, knowing that you have a wide range of students in your classroom, you know, what are the appropriate scaffolds that you have to implement for some students, while other students are ready and can do more independent work. You know, it takes a lot of skills, and our EDSLs and our academic team and Mary Ann's team are working to help give the principals and the staff members professional learning around that, so that you know, everybody gets better at supporting all of our students. But without a doubt, yes, there's an impact whenever there are vacancies. There's certainly an impact on learning, for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Willen.
Mr. Chairman?
Just a moment, Howie. Oh, okay.
Sure, thanks.
He's deferring to you, so go ahead, Mr. Greaney.
Yeah, just quickly, just to add on to the, perhaps what exacerbates the situation too is we have a relatively mobile student population. So I'm sure that placement becomes an issue, making sure that any child that comes into the system has to be placed in the right place. You know, testing and all those issues are absolutely prevalent as far as the education of the student is concerned. How are you addressing that issue? And once again, I'll go back to the funding from the state if we are still way underfunded. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we support all students, Councilor Greaney. So regardless of your living situation or or housing situation, you know, you walk into a Holyoke Public Schools, it is, you know, the expectation that you're getting the support that you need. We have family engagement coordinators at every school. We do have a McKinney-Vento manager down at central office that works really closely with our students that are experiencing housing displacement and making sure that they get what they need. You know, for those students, they usually end up, if they're out of zone, they usually end up with transportation, but it's, you know, it's an all hands on deck approach for all of our students, including students that are experiencing housing displacement. In terms of funding, I know the state is looking into, you know, the Chapter 70 formula again, and with a particular lens on special education and rural communities, because Holyoke did, with the Student Opportunity Act, Holyoke has been one of the communities that has benefited most from that, because essentially it gives a lot more funding for any students that are, you know, considered economically disadvantaged or low income. And Holyoke's population is, you know, we have a greater population of that demographic here in Holyoke, which means we get more Chapter 70 funds than, you know, than a community like Long Meadow might. But you know, we're still, you know, we're still behind. You know, I would say you know, one of the examples that I like to use is we have, you know, we probably spend around, Marianne, what are we up to for out of district tuition? Like 12 million, 10 million?
Yeah.
$10 million. I'll just say 10, but like in that ballpark of, you know, out of district tuition for services that we can't meet. So I like to use the Willie Ross School for the Blind, right? We don't have a program that can help support students that may be, you know, maybe blind. But we have a partner like Willie Ross that if we do happen to have a student, you know, we would enroll them there and pay their tuition. It's never enough. We don't get enough money from the state to be able to support all of that. I think for that 10 million, there's about 128 students or so, which is significant. But you know, we're going to continue to advocate with the state, and and try to continue to articulate to the state what the issues are, particularly in gateway communities like Holyoke that may have, you know, when we're funded at the minimum net school spending requirement, and you have the demographic of students that we have that require all these wraparound services, it does require more funding. So we'll continue to advocate for that, but I do know that takes time. The Student Opportunity Act, I think, you know, there was a committee put together for 2 years. A report came out in 2016, and they didn't implement it until like 2019. And even when they did implement it in 2019, it was being implemented over a 6-year period. So, you know, they knew we had to get to a certain dollar amount per student, but they couldn't do it all at once. So they started to phase it in over a 6-year period. And next year is going to be the last year of that, and we'll see our revenues start to level off after that.
Appreciate that information. Thank you, Mr. Soto.
Mr. Willihan?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the makers of the order. Thank you, Mr. Soto and Ms. Courier, for their presentation. You gave a lot of good information. I know this topic, this is not a Holyoke topic. This is a issue that's, if not nationwide, it's at least statewide. Okay, there's just a lack of specialized teachers / educators out there. There's been lawsuits out in Western Mass that parents within the school district are suing. Parents are suing the school districts for their children not being provided the services that they're due. Okay, so this is an ongoing issue. Mr. Soto touched on the funding The city was given a lot of money through the last budget recalc. There's going to be a new one coming up. It's going to be urban districts versus rural school districts. Everyone wants a piece of the pie. So that's going to be down the road. I know providing the services that the students are entitled to is a priority, not only of myself, but for the administration and the whole school board. This comes up at our finance meetings monthly. I'm estimating this calendar year, we've transferred over $100,000 into our, from one bucket of money to pay for specialized services, the ones that we're talking about here, just because there's a lack of that out there. Every community is looking for these services, so it's an unfortunate way of doing business, but that's just the current state of affairs. And again, Ms. Courier gave some good examples of how we're trying to fix that, and I'm hoping that will improve the situation. But I know it's a priority of the school board to make sure each child is getting the services that they're entitled to, and that the parents are satisfied with that. Thank you.
Mrs. Williams?
Hello, Mr. Soto. This question is for you. How many students do we have that have had to go to Willie Ross School? Do you have a figure?
I don't have a specific figure on Willie Ross, but Willie Ross was just one of the out-of-district schools. We do have the Center School, we have Neary, we have the May Institute. I think there's a total of about 128 students, Marianne, is that accurate?
That's correct.
Yeah, so in total, there's about 128 students that are in out-of-district placements
Thank you, sir.
for various reasons.
Okay, thank you.
Question, Marianne, relative to, you mentioned that we have 63 of our professionals that are on an initial or a regular waiver. How many overall staff do we have, just to have a sense of scale of the 63? Is it what's the total amount, so we have a sense of who's on a waiver and who's on a license, just ballpark?
So the 63 is specific to special education. So the 63 are special education teachers that are
Right.
on waivers. So that is out of approximately, I say just under 100 staff.
Okay, so we have
a lot. We have a high percentage of our special education teachers that are on waivers.
Just
Interesting.
special education teachers.
Yeah.
We have over 550 teachers in total and over 1,000 employees.
Right, but we're referring, when you say 63, those are all
Yeah.
special education. So
Yep.
that's interesting. So basically, roughly 2/3 of our special education teachers are on a waiver, and only a third have an actual license.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
Now, how would that compare to other school districts, in your opinion, like Westfield or Chicopee or, Springfield or that matter?
I think we're much higher than most of our neighbors when it comes to teachers on waivers. I think we are right in par when it comes to all of us, searching for the specialized positions. We're kind of all in the same boat, looking for school psychologists, speech pathologists. But I think when it comes to our waivered teachers, our numbers are definitely higher than most of our neighboring communities. I know
So-
other larger urban districts are similar, looking at Boston, Worcester, places like that. But within Western Mass, I think we're probably one of the highest.
Okay. Now that, in your opinion, would also contribute to this turnover problem, right? Because if you don't have a license, we lose people who they just can't keep the waiver going, which by its nature is going to create a turnover problem, which is at the heart of what the order is, right?
Exactly. One thing that we are doing, so DESE allows for, it's programming, it's a pathway to licensure called Structured Guidance and Support, SGNS for short. And it allows districts to be able to work with our licensed teachers to provide guidance and mentorship and some supervision towards some of their hours to be able to work towards license. So that is something that we started last school year, a little more full force this year. Our priority for this school year to start the year was to work with two of our teachers that are on waivers that have severe, that are working towards their severe teaching license. But what that means is that we need to be able to shoulder tap and capitalize on our teachers that hold the license and meet the criteria to be a supporting practitioner. Through that process, you need to have a license in that area that's being sought. So for the most part, it's moderate disability license that our teachers are pursuing, but have worked in that position for at least 3 years and have had proficient educator evaluation ratings all 3 of those years. So we are working with a core group of our licensed teachers to be able to provide that support to our waiver teachers to help them reach their license. So that is something that I've been working with our human resource department on really bringing that program together to be able to offer that to our staff.
Great. Do you get an income bump or extra pay if you have a license? Is that something that we could put an extra incentive for somebody who already has a license to kind of lure them to come to Holyoke, to kind of maybe create more balance between waivered and fully licensed? Is that?
We do have a stipend for critical needs areas, and special education is one of those areas. So if you hold the license in special education, you are eligible for the for that stipend. Okay. Superintendent Soto, I don't know if there's.
Yeah, one of the things, we're in the middle of an HTA negotiation, and that is one of the things that was in our counter proposal, is to create a lane for licensed teachers versus non-licensed teachers, and with an increase towards licensure. Obviously, we haven't settled that contract yet, but it is a good idea, and it is something that we're hoping, we're looking into, through this collective bargaining process, if there's anything that we can do to get those licensure numbers up, and that was one of the things that was proposed by our bargaining team.
Great, thank you. Councilor Rivera?
Yeah, thank you. One thing I kind of wanted to highlight is just like, with understanding all the constraints on the budget and all the constraints that special education puts on the budget, and all the students that are kind of going to out of district. I feel like that kind of overshadows sometimes the students that are in district when we say that stuff, and it takes conversations in a different direction. And I understand that it is a concern and that we have to highlight that, but I don't ever want for that to kind of distract and take away from the students that are in district that need the services in district, because they're not necessarily they're not getting the services that they would more than likely receive if they were able to go to those schools that are out of district that provide this, that are specialized in those particular services, right? So that's the first piece. And then the second piece I wanted to highlight was the stipend piece around keeping staff that are getting licensed or whatnot, because I think there is a piece that, as Councilor Jourdain said, that where that can become an issue when someone becomes certified, and how do you keep them here, right? But I think the concern, or the part for me where it's a concern, is how much is the stipend? Is the stipend taxed, right? Because that also factors into if Springfield is offering them not a stipend, but an actual salary bump, that's a big difference where we help the person train up and they'll get their certification and just go to Springfield because they get the actual salary bump. Or they'll go somewhere else and they'll get the salary bump and not necessarily feel like they have to deal with the same constraints that they're dealing with within the district. So for me, it's like, and I know we're in contract negotiations now with the HTA, but like stipends to me, I'll be honest with you, if I was an employee, you offer me a stipend, I'm not doing it because it's not enough to incentivize me to actually work towards the next level. A stipend, I feel like it's like a little bonus for the now, right? Whereas I'm working towards the long term, and if I can't get something towards the long term, then I'm gonna go search somewhere else where I can get that long term contribution or buy-in in a sense.
Yeah, to your first comment, point taken. I was only speaking to the budget challenges. I was, so I'll choose my words a little more carefully.
And I know you didn't do it. I know you didn't have no malicious intent with that. I'm just making sure you know that too.
And then your second point around stipend versus pay, we're working within the confines of our existing collective bargaining agreement, and that tool was a way that we could do it. Using the stipend. Mary Ann, I'm not 100% sure, but wouldn't those stipends would be eligible for MTRS anyway, right?
The ones that are position stipends, yes.
So,
Yep.
so like, Councilor Rivera, like, when you do have a stipend like that was posted and it's part of your normal work, it's in those critical needs areas, that does count for all intent and purposes as like it would be a salary, when calculating your retirement and your highest 3 years and all that. So it's not like a separate stipend that doesn't count towards your retirement. And I'm not sure if that was a concern that you were worried about, but I just wanted to name that for you so that you were aware.
Well, not more or less that. I just, it doesn't necessarily, I guess when you, like if you're telling me that I'm gonna get like a $2,000 stipend or something like that, right? Or an extra $3,000. When it gets mapped out at the end of the day, it's not necessarily $3,000 after it. Like it gets taxed, right? So like that stipend that I'm getting, I'm not necessarily getting the full stipend. I'll end up getting a certain
But
percentage.
so does the
of that
salary
too.
increase. Like if we were to replace that stipend with a salary increase, that gets taxed at about the same rate.
Totally get that, but it's a salary increase for the long term, whereas the stipend is just a bonus for this particular season.
Yep.
Yeah, I get it. I hear you.
Mrs. Williams, I'd like to start thinking about wrapping this up, but go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Rivera, don't you think that a stipend would at least be something to be incentive to maybe make them want to stay? Because if you're giving them a stipend, at least you're thinking about them. And I think the stipend would say, okay, maybe I do want to stay. And maybe by the end of the stipend, maybe some of them will stay. So that's just, my thoughts.
So through the chair, if I may, real quick.
Sure. Yeah, Councilor Rivera.
I would say that it would behoove the school committee to maybe do a survey on that same question on all the employees that are there and how they feel about the stipends. And then versus a salary increase, and then I think maybe go from there.
Okay.
I mean, one difference I would think would be if stipend doesn't go into your base pay, if you're getting like a cost of living adjustment, you wouldn't get 3% extra on your stipend type of thing, or however.
That is correct.
So
Yes.
that would be potentially a difference too. Okay, I think we've really had a great discussion of this topic, and I'm very thankful that this order was filed. Is there any final thoughts before we make a motion? And I think it would be that this has been complied with and we had the discussion. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes a lot of sense.
All right, so is there a motion that this has been complied with?
Yes, I make a motion that this has been complied with.
And there is a second? Okay, very good. Take a roll call vote on that. Mr. Willahen?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Greaney?
Yes.
Ms. Murphy Ramboletti?
Yes.
Mr. Jordan votes yes. All right. Item 4 has been complied with. Is there a motion to take up item number 5 off the table?
So moved.
So moved. Okay.
Second that.
Has been made and seconded to take item number 5 off the table. Item number 5 is also an order introduced by Councilor Israel Rivera. Order that the Honorable City Council invite representatives of Holyoke Community College, Westfield State, and the 5 colleges to discuss ways that they could better support a path for Holyoke youth to gain equitable access within those schools. And I'll turn it over to Councilor Rivera, but I will just say this might be, we wanted to put it on the agenda. We wanted to, and I know this is referred from DGNR. Previously, this was introduced some years ago. I don't know what headway DGNR made with it, but we didn't have a tremendous amount of time to bring everybody to the table from these particular schools to weigh in, but I'd like to recognize Councilor Rivera if he wanted to say a couple of words on it. Otherwise, maybe this is food for a future meeting, and certainly Mr. Soto could weigh in if he wishes to. Councilor Rivera, did you want to be heard on it? Okay, maybe we've lost Councilor Rivera. Mr. Soto, did you want to weigh in on this topic?
I did ask Mr. Anderson Burgos to email you some the committee some information, but I know the order was specifically about inviting our colleagues at these schools to come in, but I just wanted to make sure that you all were aware that I provided a significant amount of information about our existing partnerships, where we have opportunities to strengthen those partnerships. We currently have 164 Holyoke High School students that are actually enrolled in early college coursework with with a success rate of about 97% of them, up from 70% back in 2020. I had some, ideas on how we could strengthen those opportunities and also laid out some of the challenges that have involved. So whenever all of you get a chance to read through that, it gives you a good idea of what our existing partnerships look like. And then at a future meeting, when those folks are able to come into the meeting, I think it's something that you could build off of and we could have some good dialogue with them with. But we do have, I want to give a shout out to Jules Gillis over at the high school who specifically works with all 164 of these students and works with Westfield State, Holyoke Community College, and she's just running a really good program and supporting those students in their early college journey.
Yeah, and before I see Councilor Rivera is now with us, and I will come back to him in 1 minute. Just a couple quick points. One is, yes, I wanted to acknowledge that you did give us a very thoughtful statement on this topic. It reviews current strengths. It talks about and it's got like a 5-bullet plan of different things that we can do to strengthen access. So I would definitely encourage the counselors and the school committee members to debrief on that. I will say on my own accord, I know my children, benefited from having classes at HCC, and 2 of my kids that ultimately went to UMass, one started with 16 credits and the other started with 20 credits. Oh. I mean, you only need 120 to graduate from UMass. I'm a UMass alum myself, and I didn't start there. I started with 0, so coming from Holyoke High School. So for them to already have a semester or semester plus at UMass, I mean, that's a home run. I mean, and UMass, believe it or not, is even in state commuting from home, from Holyoke, $10,000 a semester. So it's not cheap. So that 1620 doesn't just make their journey easier. It's like giving a $10,000 scholarship from Holyoke to every single one of these students going to UMass. So that's really important. So I really think this is something that the Holyoke Public Schools is doing really, really well. And, this wasn't certainly around when I was in high school. And since this has started, this is phenomenal and is really a feather in the cap of the Holyoke Public Schools. I'd like to recognize Councilor Rivera. Councilor Rivera?
Thank you, Councilor Jordan, and thank you, Superintendent Soto, for the detailed report that you sent out. So the intention here was, for the most part, kind of similar to some of what Councilor Jordan stated around having students that are from the district be able to have different opportunities. But for me, it's within the 5 colleges, and when I say the 5 colleges, yes, UMass is included, but I'm also incorporating the other 4 private colleges. My daughter, similar to Councilor Jordan's daughter, my oldest daughter, she was also able to take advantage of early enrollment, or dual enrollment, I would say, right? While she was in high school, she was going to HCC. HCC and Westfield are working tremendously with us. It's a great partnership. Totally understand that. I think where for me the highlight is, I want to look at the numbers of how many students at each one of those schools are coming from schools like Holyoke, Springfield, from districts like Holyoke, Chicopee, and Springfield. There is a tremendous benefit that those universities have with working within our communities and the service learning component, where they're able to have their students come into our communities and gain tremendous skills that they can't even teach at their own institutions, right? At a free of charge from our community and other neighboring communities as well, where while they're charging students, right, for this experiential education. So, like, similar to Councilor Jordan's daughter, my daughter graduated pretty much the top of the class, not the top, but she was up there. But there was no free ride, and I'm not saying that she has to free ride, it has to have a free ride, but what is the connection, right? Or where is the pathway for the student that does have the 4.0 GPA or the 3.8 GPA, for them to get to these universities or these 5 colleges in a way where they're not taking on any debt and they're not taking on any loans? How are we doing this pathway? Every year, annually, they're giving out scholarships to different students throughout the country, throughout the world. Where do our students stand on those lists? I think that's where, for me, the intent is to bring in some of the representatives of these colleges to ask these questions, to figure out how can we get our kids to be the ones to get these free rides on a regular basis, not just the one kid every 4 or 5 years. Or just the one kid every random occasion or whatnot. For me, it's if you got kids from Holyoke graduating with a 4.0 GPA and they did all their classes at the honors levels and all the college class levels, there's got to be a way or a reward or something where we're helping them get more than just a small scholarship that's helping them the first year of school. I think that's the intent behind it. All the great work that's been done in the district and doing the early college, yes, we're on point. My stepdaughter was able to go into Mount Holyoke College with 20 credits, but at Mount Holyoke College, they don't count. You got to start from the beginning. It's not the same as going into UMass and transferring from HCC and taking those college credits. So like there are these type of programs that are like great, but like how is that connecting with Mount Holyoke College, right? Why does my stepdaughter have to start 20 credits back when she already did those 20 credits? And if she's doing that, how many other kids from Holyoke or from Chicopee or Springfield have to do the same thing? So for me, it's like bringing them in, and this is a conversation for later on, and hopefully the school committee and the district themselves will like get on board with this and try to find a way where we can get the path for these kids that are graduating on top of the class to be into these institutions and be looked at, be one of the first people looked at to get scholarships within these institutions. But yeah, thank you again, thank you guys again, and I'll get off the soapbox now.
No problem, thank you.
That makes sense.
All right, so that was the kind of where the counselor would like this. It's a good order. There's certainly a lot to plumb into, next year into this topic, and I think I think the committee could value a good conversation and certainly have these representatives in. I think at this point, probably be appropriate to table this item, if you agree.
Yes.
Is there a motion to do that? Is that seconded?
Second now.
Okay. Then I'll call the roll call vote on that. Mr. Willihan?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Greaney?
Yes.
Ms. Murphy-Ramboletti?
Yes.
And Mr. Jordan votes yes. So it's unanimous to table item number 5. And now we'll go to item number 6, which is next on the agenda. Is there a motion to remove that from the table? Okay, is there a second? Okay, thank you. Item number 6 is an order introduced by Councilor Ocasio, order that the city change the use of the lot at the corner of Adam and South Summer Street from being 24-hour parking to residential parking from 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. Morgan staff parking from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I see Councilor Ocasio is over here today, and we did touch on this order once before. I think before I turn it over, just to tee it up, some of the prior discussion has been around there's a need for resident parking in that area. Concern is that residents should also feel an ability to use some of that. And there's a question about, if it's a city lot, how is it being designated? Are certain people being allowed to use only certain spaces? What's designated for the schools? What's designated for the public? And just to kind of refresh people's memories, but at this point, I'll turn it over to Ms. Ocasio to get into it again a little bit, please, and then we'll see what we can do with this tonight. Carmen?
Good evening, everybody. My intention with this order was, to me it was simple, but it seemed like it's all over the place. The reason why I put this order in was because residents from Adams Street are using the parking lot on Adams Street and South Summer Street as auto shop. So they're doing a lot of mechanic work there. They're leaving the vehicles there, disabled, a lot of trash, and it's starting to become dangerous for residents and parents that have to go through there with their children. So I just thought about an idea like dividing it. First of all, it's a city lot. They don't clean it unless I ask to be cleaned. And DPW does it, and sometimes ROCA have their little crew out there cleaning it and cutting down the branches around it and everything. So my concern was that to Morgan School staff don't have really nowhere to park either, because the parking lot that is next by Morgan School on Adams Street is also a public parking. So that's not Morgan School parking only either. So the teachers are using the residential parking in front of the schools, with leaving residents that live in that block with nowhere to park. So I thought about putting this order in to see what we can do with that lot to stop the mechanic work, period, and make it safer for other people. I spoke to Mayor Garcia about this last year, and he asked me to think about what should be done in that corner. He suggested to put, like benches and a little row there, to make it look pretty. But I said that would have been a danger, because then everybody wants to sit there and stay there all night, and people got to work and so on and so forth. So I suggested changing it into Morgan School parking lot, Morgan School parking for staff from 7 in the morning until 5 p.m., which I believe that's when they all leave. And then from 5 p.m. until 7 a.m. For residential parking, because right now it's really only 24-hour parking, and really nobody's supposed to be there no more than 24 hours. And they're just there all the time. I don't know if I'm not going to blame the Holyoke police on it, but I think the sign is too small, and maybe they don't see it because it is small. You know, it took me a while to notice that sign was there. So, but that was my intention of this order. But on our last meeting, DGR, Councilor Juan Anderson had brought a good point also that people that work overnight, that'll be challenging for them also. So I'm just trying to, you know, figure out how we can make this work. I just want that corner there to be safe because students pass through there. The parents have to pick the kids up right in front of South Summer Street and cross over to go around into to Adams Street where they live. So a lot of parents brought it up to my attention that it's like it's becoming a mess. Lately, it's been clean because I've been like on it, like, and I throw the mechanics out. But I cannot be an officer, you know. So let's see what happens. You know, I'm up for any suggestions. I'm not gonna be a city council come next year. I didn't run this year, you know, by choice. But Israel Rivera, Councilor Israel Rivera, said that he would take up any orders that need to be refiled on this matter. But DPW, Mike, what's his last name?
Mike Gallagher?
Yeah.
He's with us tonight,
Okay,
too.
so last meeting, we talked, and he said that he was gonna look into some signage or something to make it more easier, because I think the order that I wrote is kind of like too complicated, come to think of it, because then, you know, the Morgan School have to probably put parking stickers on their vehicles or pass or something, you know, so to identify that they can be there at that time or whatever. So I think it's more complicated, but I'm open for suggestions, and let's see where it leads.
Okay. So it sounds like we got a few things going on. One is who should be using the lot and when, and improve signage for whatever we're going to do, and then enforcement. So I see Councilor Rivera's hands up, so I'm going to recognize him next, and then we'll ask the DPW, the police, and the schools to kind of weigh in on the needs and enforcement. So Councilor Rivera.
Thank you. And thank you, Councilor Ocasio, for filing this. So as you mentioned, I can lead and continue with this later on after the fact. But I think there's a couple points here. That is a city lot, and I think the intention of that city lot is for the residents that live in all the buildings nearby, because it is tight parking in the alleyways and on the side street. So it would be difficult to take away residential parking to give parking to the teachers, in a sense, right? But then there's the other piece of that would probably have to be done by ordinance, because it is a public lot. So to assign specific parking spaces to specific people, that's kind of like the Disabilities Commission. Like, we have to go through a process to do that. But I think before we do any of that, there is the Parking Advisory Commission, and they're in the process of developing, I mean, they've already created a plan for parking throughout, well, they've worked on that. And I think that this should kind of run through them too as well, because technically by ordinance, everything related to parking is supposed to go through them anyways. It's something new that we discovered ourselves as a council, but I think before we move we can have this conversation, but like the Parking Advisory Committee should be able to weigh in on this particular issue. But yeah, I can continue carrying this over to my next term to make sure that it gets dealt with too as well. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
One second, Howie. Councilor Rivera, what would be a reasonable disposition for today? Because it doesn't seem like this should be in joint committee any longer, though. Like, this should be moving, and I agree with you. If there's going to be changes as to the use of the lot, that would have to be done by ordinance. So is this something that we should refer it to the parking commission with a copy to ordinance, or
If I may say, yes,
Yeah,
I would say, refer to parking commission or, to advisory committee, and then, with a copy to ordinance. And I believe if Mike's there, Mike is on the parking advisory thing with us too as well. So we'll have that conversation all together,
Okay.
about what the decision is. And then, from there, they'll pull out a recommendation to the ordinance committee, and the ordinance committee will do what they want with it. We'll do what they will, whatever the recommendation is.
Okay, sounds good. Counselor Greaney.
Yeah, just quickly, through the chair, I believe Councilor Ocasio said that one of the big problems is that they're using it for a garage, for repairs, for cars and things like that, and I don't think that should be happening in a public parking lot. I think that type of behavior would solve part of the problem. I think what she says was, this is an issue that's happening, with this car repair and mechanics and so on and so forth. I think that could be something that could be addressed immediately, I would think.
I'd next like to recognize Mr. Soto on behalf of the schools. Do you feel that the schools have a need in that lot, or could we just make it all residents? It's obviously was originally kind of designed as residential parking. Or have you guys made a determination that says, we need 10 slots in that lot, or we need, what does the school department need? From your perspective?
I actually, because of this order, I went down to Morgan today just to walk around and talk to some of the staff, and they definitely use that parking lot. They haven't expressed any issues to us other than the issues that Councilor Ocasio brought up in terms of, occasionally there'll be some trash there and stuff like that, and they, stuff that they're comfortable with, picking up, they would, but there's obviously some stuff that they're not comfortable with. But it's definitely not our staff throwing trash in the parking lot. But yes, they use that parking lot. They use the parking lot at the turn hall, and then they use on-street parking, which is adjacent to the school all the way around the building. So, I haven't, I specifically asked because of this order, are there times where staff try to go park there and there's a mechanic in there, or are there times there where staff try to go park there and the lot is full? And they expressed that, no, there might be two cars or three cars in there, but for the most part, people park wherever they can to get to work.
Mm-hmm. Mike Gallagher, do you want to weigh in from the DPW's perspective as to, you think this makes sense? We send it to the parking advisory committee and you guys kick the tires on evaluating, what's the school department's needs, maybe designating some spots. Do you think the DPW could improve the signage and kind of get this figured out as to who's using what and when, with a goal of trying to reserve as many spots for the residents as possible? Go ahead, Mr. Gallagher.
Yeah, thank you, Counselor. I first started to see there is a section 86 to the city ordinance repair of vehicles on streets or city property. It's prohibited for emergency repairs like changing a flat tire, jump guard, or
You're breaking up, Mike.
So
Can you try to refocus on your microphone, or maybe you can email it to the clerk. Try again.
Is this better?
You're breaking up pretty bad. We only catch every other word, unfortunately. It sounds very profound what you're saying. Unfortunately, we're only catching every other word of it. Yeah.
All right. Sounding better, Counselor. All right. Sirs, York, sorry, prohibit the repair vehicles on city property.
Yeah. It's just not working tonight, Mike. I'll turn it over to the HPD. Do you think, obviously you heard these concerns, people are working on cars, there's maybe people in there that shouldn't be. With some improved signage, is this something that you guys could put, raise awareness to the patrol car in South Holyoke, that area, to kind of keep an eye on things
Yeah.
for us? Okay.
That was going to be, I know, a short-term suggestion, improve the sign.
Yeah.
I know before this meeting, I drove through there just to kind of scout it out and see what it looked like, and you need a magnifying glass to see any kind of signs that are down there. So, if the DPW could maybe throw up some bigger signs, and frankly, if you could come up with some kind of signage reminding people that they can't work on cars
Right,
in the
right.
street.
That's
Right.
That because that's already a ordinance that exists. So why reinvent the wheel?
And maybe we put up a sign that says, whatever it is, I think $300 fine if, or whatever it is, if you get caught doing these things, just to make them think twice. And I don't know if we have, just out of curiosity, maybe Mr. Soto knows, or maybe you know from the school resource officer, do we have cameras from the school or something on that lot so that if people, we get a repeat offender or people that think they're being cute, working on cars, that we've got some evidence to say, we got you.
I can't speak intelligently if that specific camera angle exists down there.
Okay.
I don't have knowledge of that. Maybe Mr. Soto does.
It doesn't.
Doesn't. Okay. All right.
$100 the first time and $300 the next.
Yeah.
But that may be something to look into. For
Yeah, exactly. Something to think about. I'll get, Mr. Gallagher, last shot.
All right, is this any better, Counselor?
Yes, that is definitely better. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So when I looked up the ordinances on this lot and on all the city lots, there's the ordinance on the that actually applies to this lot is the ordinance about working on vehicles on city property, and the ordinance does allow for fines and gives the authority for the police department to tow any vehicles that are in such shape on the lot. But for any other requirements, I think what was previously said, it should go to the Parking Advisory Board, because we have a lot of city-owned parking lots that we do not have any ordinances to cover.
Okay. And that sounds good. So, and do you think we can get some improved signage over there too at some point? I think that would help the police with the enforcement, reminding people you can't work on cars, that, and you're supposed to, it's supposed to be either for the residents or the school.
That
would
we
help.
do.
Okay, great. So, if there's no objection, I would like to recommend that item 6 be referred to the Parking Advisory Committee with a copy to the Ordinance Committee.
So move.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. If there's no other discussion, Mr. Willahen,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Greaney,
Yes.
Ms. Murphy-Ramboletti,
Yes.
and Mr. Jordan is yes. So that is passed unanimously, that recommendation. So let me just increase my notes here in that area. Parking advisor. Okay, without further ado, we're now up to, unfortunately, our last item. You have to leave after that. So we have item number 7. Is there a motion to remove item number 7 off the agenda?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Item number 7 comes to us by way of one of our school committee members, our vice chair to be specific, Dr. Yadalete Rivera Colon. And it's a letter regarding the superintendent search screening committee. So there's some exciting news about that. And she provided us with a very nice communication. It's dated September 29th. In it, she speaks to they're looking for members of the community interested in serving on the superintendent search screening committee. They're looking for a 13 to 15 member panel which will review applications, hold preliminary confidential screening interviews in order to recommend the finalist candidates to be interviewed by the school committee. Potential search committee members can be elected officials, parents, school administrators, district teachers, support staff, students, members of the business community, or others interested in the continued advancement of the Holyoke Public Schools. Looks like the school committee will begin interviewing prospective screening members beginning at 4 o'clock on Wednesday, December 17th. That will be taking place at Dean Voc in the Fifield room. Selected volunteers will need to commit to the following meetings, which will also be taking place at Dean. There's a January 8th, 13th, 15th, 20th, and 21st meetings. Anyone interested in being on the search committee is asked to send a communication to the screening candidate form. And I believe this information and this request is available on the school department website. There is also an opportunity to have a form submitted by December 12th. And if you have any questions, there's an email here, and or you can send it to 57 Suffolk Street. Applications will not be accepted by any other individual or at any drop-off location. You will receive confirmation that your application has been received. And Dr. Rivera Colon also wants to thank everybody for their interest in participating in this critical process. So, and I think she was with us here, Yadi. We thank you for joining us, and would you like to say anything about the Superintendent Search Committee? Thank you for sending us this letter. And you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me. We're very excited that after 10 years of not participating in what is choosing the leader for the Holyoke Public Schools, we get the privilege to do that again, which we're very excited about. And excited that there's a lot of people interested. Last time I checked, we had 44 people interested, which is a nice problem to have. That's going to make our meeting on Wednesday, the 17th, very interesting, but I'm just grateful for the people of Holyoke for stepping up in this important part. And I just wanted to be here also in case that you had any questions about the process.
Yeah, so how about, okay, this is great news. You have 44 applicants. How do you decide who the 13 or 15 will be? I don't know if any of the school committee members or whatever, like, how are you thinking, well, we want a business representative, or maybe we want someone who's been a school administrator, or maybe we want someone who's been a teacher, or someone who's been a parent? Have you guys given some thought to, sort of how you want to build the diversity of the committee so you get various perspective? If you could kind of give us your thoughts on that, please.
Absolutely. That was a conversation that we had just on Monday in our regular meeting. We, as part of the form, we asked people why they want to join. And we also asked what's their experience within the community and the Holyoke Public Schools. So that way that gives us an opportunity for us, as well as we know how they're related, right? We have whether they're business partners or teachers or current staff or parents. So all that information is captured in the form that is linked to the letter I sent. And that way we will be able to make sure that all those buckets that you were mentioning are covered or close to making sure that we have as many people as possible. We were just making sure today in conversations with Mr. Soto to make sure that there's also students. And yeah, we will have the tough task of going through all those answers to make sure that we pick the people who are available for the dates and also who can commit to those days and also will be able to fulfill those roles and bring those different perspectives. So that's going to be our job on December 17th.
Super. Couple more questions. How do you see the process? Just sort of, if you could walk through the calendar, if you will.
Absolutely.
How do you see from when to when? You know, obviously none of this stuff is perfect or is all mapped out, but if you had a magic wand and could make it sort of all happen in symmetry, how would you see the process playing out? And then what would be the ideal start date for the new superintendent? If you could kind of walk through that for us, please.
Absolutely. If we could control the weather and all the things possible, the applications for the position are due in December 23rd. The weeks of between January 5th and the 16th, we'll have semifinalist interviews. Finalists will be selected. Then the weeks of from January 19th to the 27th, we'll have our site visits and finalist interviews. And on the week of February 9th, we would have the opportunity for the school committee to appoint who our next leader would be, who our next superintendent would be. And then the start date would be July 1st, 2026.
Excellent, excellent. You've had a search committee, I believe, or a search company assisting you?
Correct. That's
Okay.
the Massachusetts Association of School Committees.
Okay, very good. Anyone have any more questions on this item or anybody?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Greaney?
Ms. Clone, just briefly, how widespread will the search be? Will it be nationwide, half the country? How far are you going to reach out?
So the way that the Massachusetts Association of School Committees does it is nationwide, because it is available online. So everybody will be able, they picked several places where normally they recruit leaders for superintendent searches, and that's where our brochure has been posted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You said the deadline to turn in an application is the 23rd, correct, of December?
Yes.
How are we making out with getting applicants, if you know? Or is it maybe that's still secret? Are we getting a good amount of responses?
That is still secret.
Okay, very good. And I don't want you to release any secrets. Mr. Willihan.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna bring the conversation back to the order because we're jumping ahead on who's applying for the job. That's not what we're talking about tonight. Okay, so the search committee, we need qualified people. We need people that are dedicated to the city to volunteer their time on this important committee. Okay, I'm going to emphasize that. You have to, anyone that applies to it, they have to commit to attend each one of these meetings that are spelled out in January. Okay, so that's first and foremost. You have to commit to these dates. Okay, so it's an important. If Mondays are bad for you, okay, this might not be the committee for you. I served on this committee over 10 years ago when we chose Dr. Paez for the superintendent. That was the last time that this process unfolded. I met people on that committee back then for the first time that I'm personal friends with now. So it's a great experience. I know we had parents involved, we had teachers, we had some local officials on there. I know Mr. Rivera and Mr. Greaney had an order on the special education. I know that was brought up during the interview process when we're trying to vet our next superintendent. So it's an important commitment, important committee. I'm encouraging people to review it and see if it's something that they're interested in, and I'm hoping for the best. Thank you.
There's also a survey going out that is available in the Holyoke Public Schools website So if you can't be part of the screening committee because your schedule doesn't allow you to, you can still tell us what things you think our next superintendent should have and should be paying attention to.
Oh, that's great.
Great. Super.
Any other thoughts anyone would like to share? Mr. Wellahan?
Thank you. I just want to say Northampton is going through the same process at this time, so they beat us to the punch a little bit on this. So we like to speed up the process here and just make sure there's no hiccups. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, very good. So looks like this order has been complied with, or this communication. We could say it's been complied with and received. Everyone feel comfortable with that motion? Okay, is there a second to that? All right, Mr. Wellahan?
So moved.
Okay, do you vote yes in
Yes.
favor of that? Mrs.
Yes.
Williams? Okay, Mr. Greaney?
Yes.
Ms. Murphy-Ramboletti?
Yes.
And Mr. Jordan is yes. That concludes our meeting, and I think we could have a meeting to, a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
Mr. Wellahan?
Just a quick statement. This will be my last meeting on the joint committee. I did 3 terms on this committee. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with my colleagues on the school committee and the city council, and I thought it's a productive committee. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, great. Thank you. And obviously, myself as the chair, really a pleasure to work with all of you. As you know, this will be my last meeting with you, and really a pleasure to be with you for this. And it's really a great committee that's evolved over the years. And I wish everybody the best. And, we have so much potential in our Holyoke Public Schools, and just thank you all for doing your part to make things better. So it's been really a pleasure to be the chair of this committee and to serve with each and every one of you. So wish you all the best of luck for the future and for whatever 2026 will bring us. Okay? All right. So,
Mr. Chairman, one thing.
yes, Mr. Greaney.
I just want to say hello to Mrs. Williams. I didn't have a chance to see her, and tell her that we wish her the best for the holiday season.
Thank you very, very much, and I'll be saying a prayer for you.
And the same for everybody else. Thank you so much, and thank you for serving on the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Howie. And wish everyone a wonderful holiday season and new year.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, is that
Second that.
seconded? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote on that. Mr. Wellahan?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Greaney?
Yes.
Ms. Murphy-Ramboletti?
Yes.
And Mr. Jordan votes yes. So we stand adjourned, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.